So what's the latest situation in China, in Beijing especially?
Well, whoever is planning on a travel bubble with China may have to reconsider again because China has found new cases of COVID-19 only in Beijing. As of yesterday, they already found like up to 36 new cases, same as the day before, which is the city's highest daily infection count since late March. Like you said, over 50 days with no new infections at all. So the new cases have been traced to a famous wholesale food market, which is called Jinfadi, which is in Beijing. And so far, there are 79 cases that have been linked to this market. So not just in Beijing, but other cities so people in other cities may have visited the food market and then they went back to their home city. So they might have found new cases of COVID-19 that are linked to this market. And local media reports say that the virus was discovered on chopping boards that are used for imported salmon at the market. And that is why major supermarkets in Beijing have removed the salmon from their shelves already.
Wow. But it's still unclear how the virus managed to land on the chopping board, right?
Exactly. It is suspected that the virus might have come from the chopping boards rather than the salmon itself. So many experts have been advising the people, or even in Thailand, we also been advised not to eat raw salmon. But on the other side of it, there are experts saying that it is impossible for seafood such as salmon to carry the virus, as seafood is usually shipped in refrigerated containers from overseas. But the possibility is that seafood can be contaminated by other means during the process of transportation or packaging.
But the question or the problem is raised in regarding to the market.
Exactly. It sounds like a deja vu here because if we all remember how the outbreak started back late last year in Wuhan, it came from a food market. But in Beijing, it's also a food market. So it's some sort of deja vu here. And people are scared that the food market is actually the main culprit of spreading such a virus.
So how has Beijing government tried to handle the situation? Lock down the whole city again?
Pretty much with the very strict measures as well as the restrictions, just like how the outbreak started last year. So what Beijing has done is that they've done widespread mass testing for those who've been to the market, as well as those with close contact with people working at the market, as well as places nearby. According to the Beijing Public Health Commission, Beijing has conducted more than 76,000 tests on Sunday, and 59 of them were tested positive. They also collected samples from people who were recently at the market, which was almost up to 9,000 people. However, around 6,000 of them were tested negative. Apart from the mass testing, the place where the market is located has launched a wartime-like control measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. The market, as well as other 11 residential communities around the market, has also been closed off.
So can we say that right now Beijing is facing second wave of the pandemic yet?
Maybe we can say that, but I think we should see what happens next. Maybe it might be a little bit too early to say if it's a real second wave here.
No, but it appears that China certainly has learned lessons from the Wuhan experience. And this time around, they appear to be more forthcoming with information about the new outbreak.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that China certainly doesn't want to be accused again of being too secretive about what is happening as far as the coronavirus is concerned. Yeah.
Interestingly, the market that is the epicenter of the new outbreak in Beijing here, The name is called Xinfadi, which is the biggest wholesale food market in Asia, not just China, but in Asia, and accounts for 80% of Beijing's entire farm produce supply. Thousands of tons of vegetables, fruits, and meats are traded right at this wholesale market every day. And speaking of the size of this wholesale market here, is almost 160 soccer pitches and more than 20 times larger than the seafood market in Wuhan, where the coronavirus originated last year. So that means if something goes wrong with that market, it will definitely disrupt the food supply chain in China.
Wow.
So speaking of Xifadi wholesale food market, that's a big market, not just in China, but the whole continent.
Yeah, really huge market indeed. So if they're really facing second wave, so it means the whole situation is back to square one.
I would say so.
And that probably will
nobody
affect
wants
us.
to see that happen. Certainly.
Sure.